Greetings to everyone. By the way, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Lebo Makumulo, and I'm an electrical engineer who's been registered with ECSA since September 2008. And at ECSA, I've served in quite a number of roles. Obviously, the core ones being my 2 terms in council. I learned so much. And today, really, I want to share with you guys the benefits of being registered with ECSA. And before I even get into that, it is good for us to just stop and say who is ECSA. In this case, we're talking about the Engineering Council of South Africa. And really today, I'm talking about benefits that come with being professional registration. So as you all know, you can be registered as a candidate, which is post-graduation. And then in this case, we're talking about being professionally registered in a particular category that's in line with your education and obviously in line with your discipline. By the time you register, you have a clearly defined area of competence. So it's very important for us to just acknowledge that this is when you are now professionally registered. Also, let's just have a look. If we look at the built environment, this is the landscape of the built environment. And really, this is where ECSA fits. So ECSA really is the council that registers engineering professionals, and this is predominantly people that solve engineering problems. Now, some of our graduates do come into industry and end up working as project management in the construction environment. Those people can register with this council. So today we are talking about ECSA, and ECSA really is for people that are solving engineering problems in industry. It was just good for us to touch on that. And really, when we talk about the categories of registration, remember earlier I mentioned a candidate. Candidate is a category for someone who's just graduated and completed their degree. And then if we talk professional, you've gathered some competence, you've applied at ECSA, and you've been recognized to be professional. And really, the categories that you can be registered in is engineer, technologist, and technician. Certified engineer is one that is exclusive to South Africa. If you look at the engineer, technologist, and technician, these ones are also covered by the International Engineering Council of South Africa. Now let's talk about the immediate benefits of the PR title. So once you get registered, you now not just a graduate in the engineering space, you are professional, you can be trusted to carry out work that is safe, and this is basically providing solution to the country, right, and improving people's lives. So the first benefit obviously is the stamp of competence. Once you are registered, people know that you are professional, you are somebody who's honest, you are somebody who still carries themselves with integrity. And that's what happens with your email signature is it gets to be upgraded. Now, when you write it, you no longer just say label, you are able to put label, PR range. In my case, I studied a BSc, thus I used the title PR range. Then you can put your qualifications. And in this case, I'm also a member of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers. So really, when you send that email, you grab someone's attention very quickly because they do know that they are dealing with somebody who is professionally registered. A core benefit is trust from peers, your employer, the industry, and the country, really. And what this trust is linked to is we all know that by the time we get registered, we are supposed to be fully responsible for doing the work, right? But at that point, you are not yet accountable because you are not yet registered. Once you have registered, accountability comes to you. So in other words, in the workplace, you are able to sign off solutions, which is something that you cannot do before you are registered. So a good example is a design for some new infrastructure. Previously, you had been doing this work, but you had to be shadowed by somebody who was professionally registered. Once you are registered, you can sign off that work, really. And so you can own the work, right? And really, this builds your CV. Career progression is one of the beautiful ones, because once you are professionally registered, obviously you get promotions. Promotions start coming your way, and really a promotion is linked to more money. So most of the people do try and get registered as soon as possible, simply because if you are engineer, to move to senior, to a title called senior engineer, you need to be professionally registered. So that is like actually one of the greatest or the biggest benefits to registration. You can get promoted. Also, what it does is it boosts your CV, because it opens opportunities in terms of your marketability. That is increased. I think a lot of you have seen when you see posts that are advertised in the newspaper, it always stipulates you need to be registered as a candidate or a professional. And really, if you are professionally registered, even in terms of applying for any post that is open, even outside of your company, it makes you cut the list, because there will be a chunk of people that might apply for that position who are not registered. And in that particular case, registration would be required. So really, marketability is one of the greatest benefits that comes with being registered, because even the potential new employer, it could be in a company, you changing departments or whatever the case is, but really if you're professionally registered, people know that they can trust you. Then one of the core things that comes with being registered is that you can start volunteering at ECSA. You can volunteer to be an assessor, a moderator, and a reviewer. And really, when you start volunteering your services to be on these particular roles, you'll have to start with being an assessor. Over time, after you've reviewed a couple of applications, you can be then promoted to a moderator and eventually a reviewer. So a reviewer is somebody who really has experience in the full chain in terms of the registration process. Now, what this volunteering experience does is that exposure allows you to be nominated for council, so serving on the ECSA council. And obviously, once you make council, you can also be nominated to be chairperson or vice chair for the high impact committees. So I urge all of you, once you get registered, please do volunteer at ECSA. The industry does need you to keep the profession going. Another great thing about serving on council is skill acquisition. And in this case, we'll call them free. You could be paying somewhere to gather experience for board duties. But once you are serving on council, that exposure and experience that you give allows you to be well-versed with duties of a board. And what that does is that in future, if you want to volunteer yourself or nominate yourself for other boards, that experience is going to give you a very big plus, because they know that you are somebody who at least has been doing these things. And I mean, ECSA council is typically 4 years long. So really, when you do apply to other duties, they know that you would have been serving for a total of 4 years. The biggest benefit is networking. Once you are a volunteer in industry, you are going to meet other people, and more specifically, leaders in industry in particular area of competencies. And what that does is that it builds your human capital. I mean, human capital is really equivalent to money, or your potential to be able to make money or get jobs or change work. If you want to get a better job, you might even have people that you've met through these volunteering positions. So really, these are the immediate benefits that come with being professionally registered. And really, they are just beautiful. So let's just talk about mobility. So also, it's good for all of us to know that ECSA is a member of the International Engineering Alliance. And at this point, it is also good to mention that ECSA, meaning South Africa, is the only country that is actually a member of the IEA. And really what being a member of the IEA does is it affords all of us mobility. So you will see that if you are registered at ECSA, the accords are going to allow your education, whatever education you've studied, is going to be substantially equivalent to another member country. So for those who studied BSc, it's the Washington Accord, technologist is the Sydney and the Dublin Accord. So unlike before, where maybe you must, let's say somebody who studied in Africa comes to South Africa, because the university is not a member of the Accords, their education needs to be evaluated. So if you feel you want to move to New Zealand, as an example, that education is substantially equivalent to that member country. Then when we talk about professional registration, we've got what we call the competency agreements. So if you are registered in South Africa, in this case at ECSA, you can move with that title. I will explain shortly how you do that. But as you can see, each of the categories does have an agreement. So engineers will be sitting here, technologists there, technicians over there. This one is a geographical one, as you can see. So these member countries are just those that have made a regional agreement. But as you can see, the standard of this, because the engineers, would be the same as the International Professional Engineer Agreement. So let's talk about, now you've registered at ECSA, and really all of us know that to be registered at ECSA, you need a minimum of 3 years practical experience since graduation. So to get on the international register, you need a minimum of 7 years. Once you are registered on that international register, you are able to use this title. So remember earlier I spoke about the title. We put PR range if you are registered with ECSA. If you are registered on the international register, you are able to use these titles also. And really that international registration is the one that affords you mobility. So if you want to move to a member country, this title is the one that's going to give you free access. So it's going to allow you to move with that professional registration from ECSA. I think this is a beautiful thing, because if you do go to a country that does have some additional requirements, additional to the 11 outcomes that are stipulated by the IEA, you just have to do that portion. You know, the rest of it will just be administration. And then it's crucial to just mention that just because we said a minimum of 7 years, it's not inherent. So it is something that you need to apply for. And really what this slide is showing is the requirements for somebody to be registered on the ECSA International Register. And as you can see, it's a completed application form. So remember, just to be PR ranger, there's also an associated application form. So let us understand that this is additional to that. The other one is a minimum 3 years. This one is a minimum 7 years. So just like PR range, you have to fill in the application form, complete your experience report, compile the summary of experience reports. You need some referee reports. You need a record of CPD, because remember now you would have already been PR range on the ECSA database. So you would need CPD points, post-registration, and then obviously there's application fees. So those fees that you pay for professional registration are separate to these. And I just thought to touch on that because, you know, with COVID, the world has become one. So if you do want to practice in some other country, or there are actually some other countries in South Africa that, you know, originate somewhere overseas. So this type of title is going to allow you to be able to do that work with the relevant registration in that country. And then just in closing, this is just contact details of people at ECSA. So this is the number that you can call if you have inquiries, and really if you have anything that you'd like to clarify with them. If you don't call, you can email ECSA, engineer@ecsa.co.za. I will be looking forward to your questions. If you have any questions regarding this sharing on the benefits of being registered, please drop them here on my comments, and definitely myself and ECSA will be sure to respond to them. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be seeing you shortly in about a week's time when we will be sharing another topic. So for now, I say goodbye, good day, good night, good morning, whenever you watch this recording. Thank you so much. Bye.